G'day and welcome to HerdFlow. This video will take you through the steps outlined in our Quick Start Guide. If you have not obtained or accessed the Quick Start Guide, it can be accessed through asking the AI assistant or also returning to the Bush Agri website, clicking Support under the HerdFlow page, and navigating down to our Resources section and opening up the Quick Start Guide. This step-by-step takes you through the steps in this video and allows you to get started with the platform. The first thing that you'll need to do after activating your account is choose a reporting period and age year period type. There are further details outlined in the Quick Start Guide. Reporting period is financial or calendar year, and age year is the same options. Age year is generally applied in Northern Australia as the financial year that the animal is born, and in Southern Australia, it is generally applied as the calendar year. There are further details on which will be most suitable to your business outlined in the Australian Herd Classification Guidelines. Lastly, please select the animal unit type that is most relevant for your business, AE or DSE. Again, there is generalizations for that use in North and South of Australia. Please save the company details and click Yes to proceed. Following through the steps in the Quick Start Guide, you can now go to the Setup menu and work your way through each of these options before we get to adding in some transactions to the platform. So we've answered company details. Next, move to company structure. For small businesses, this will be straightforward. The company structure also allows for larger businesses and also corporations and partial companies to add multiple business units, enterprises, and locations under the same HerdFlow account. There are some restrictions for the free and standard subscription, but the steps are the same. Please add a business unit. And a code which is used for the audit trail on the transactions. The median birth month is used to estimate the age of each crop of calves within the platform. This can be defined as the month where half of your calves are born before and during, or during and after, and is further outlined again in the Australian Herd Classification Guidelines. Once the business unit is created, you can double click on it to add in any enterprises and locations that are relevant. For this example company, I'm going to add in a breeding enterprise and a growing enterprise. In this example, both of these enterprises are occurring at the same location. Enter in the size of that property and the region. The region, tropic, and leaching options are used to define and inform the emissions calculations within the platform. The main function the region is servicing is determining whether you're above or below the Tropic of Capricorn. These are grouped by state, so please select your relevant region, which will automatically fill out the tropic option. The leaching option has further details available in the Quick Start Guide and is defined in a map based on precipitation in your region. The majority of extensive grazing in Australia can leave this defaulting to off. For further details, please see the references available in the Quick Start Guide. Once the company structure is set up, we can move to animal production scenarios. There are 3 scenarios defaulting within the platform, which again have broad regional differences across the country. There is a map located within the Quick Start Guide, which can give you a starting place to select one of the defaults. If you do have data on your own business, you can also add a custom scenario by clicking the green button. These scenarios inform the growth path and AE calculations, as well as the inventory weights for animals throughout each period in the platform. To use a default scenario, please double click on it, click on Access, and turn it on for the business unit that is relevant. You can review the details. All of these are variables used in the animal units calculation, whether you have selected AE or DSE, and they also inform the growth path and inventory weights of animals throughout their life. You can see the impact on animal units with energy use and also a summary for each category of animals in the platform. As I mentioned, if these don't fully align with the production on your specific property, you can add a custom scenario and allocate it to that business unit to give you a more accurate indication of the animal units that you are running. Once the access is turned on and saved, you can then click the usage on the left-hand side to allocate that to both the enterprise and the location. This may vary over time based on the genetic and seasonal mixes. So you can set this production scenario from a point in time, and you could have a different production scenario for different properties or enterprises within your business. The next step is to confirm or set the default mortality rate. Mortality is accounted for in a few ways within the HerdFlow platform. Firstly, there's a company-wide percentage, as you can see on the screen, which automatically subtracts the percentage for each category of animals broken up by their reproductive status, sex, and age in the platform. And this is subtracted from the inventory each month throughout the system. The next way that deaths can be accounted for are manually entering in a transaction, which we'll cover in the following video. And this is for known deaths or events that occur where you need to subtract more deaths than the calculated percentage. Lastly, at the end of each period, to reconcile the numbers in HerdFlow against the numbers on hand, a reclassification transaction is also required to close the period and move forward in the platform. This enables the calculated deaths plus any entered deaths to be combined and adjusted to reflect the actual animals on hand. Please note, if you are importing your data from another platform or spreadsheet system and you're importing death transactions across your whole herd, please set these percentages to 0 so that you're not double counting the deaths each month. Once these are saved, you can now move to the period section. Each business unit within your business we'll need a period created and transactions entered for each period you are hoping to gain insights on within HerdFlow. Firstly, select the green Add Period button and then the year that you're hoping to start your data collection. The free trial only has one period of data available, but Premium and Standard can set this date as to any period you want to start using the system. Similar to the location level questions, there are a few emissions related metrics which utilize the numbers on the screen you can see. These emissions factors inform the emissions of Scope 3 cattle that are purchased into your business. These can be left as a default and amended later on once you have entered transactions and have multiple years within the platform. Once the period is selected, for the first period within the system, we will need to enter in the opening balance for each grouping of animals. As per the Australian herd classification guidelines, animals are grouped by their sex, their reproductive status, and also their age year. This is generally the tag color or brand used on the animals. If there are groupings here that do not apply for your business, you can use the red delete button to remove them or remove entire categories. This has the location of property 1 and the enterprise of breeding. So you can go through and enter in the opening numbers for each of those groupings in the system. There is a separate section for the growing enterprise. Again, entire categories can be removed and the opening balance completed. Opening balance is only required for the first period within the system, as all future periods are informed by the transactions and the reclassification at the end of each period and flow forward each year. Lastly, in the periods page, there is a chance to amend the mortality rate that is informed from the company-wide mortality rates that you set earlier. This function allows different years to have a different rate automatically applied, but also because this is a company level percentage, it allows you to apply specific percentages to different enterprises or properties based on historic information or your own experience. Once all the opening numbers are set up, you can close this and you'll see the period is sitting here open. The last thing to do before we can add transactions is look at the default pricing adjustment. For transfers within a business and also for the inventory value calculations, we have linked in to the MLA market indicators to put a relevant market price on each grouping of animal throughout the year. This is a national indicator, and for different markets, different articles, or different regions, you can apply a premium or discount to each grouping of sex, reproductive status, and age in the system. This is applied per business unit, enterprise, and the specific year. This can be changed at any time. And if you do not have the information required, I would recommend entering in your transactions and then looking at the valuation at the end of the year to see if you need to come back in and adjust these prices. The prices used for sales and purchases are the actual prices received, and this will only be relevant for the inventory valuation calculation, as well as it can be used to inform the value of animals transferring within your business. You can also set your own pricing if you have a more accurate or representative price when entering the transaction. The last thing to do under the setup menu is provide access to anyone else in your family, company, or any stakeholders that you want access to this information. You can share view only or edit only access, which could be given to a property manager, an overseer, a bank manager. These can be added by clicking Set Access, or additionally, you could just share reports to the relevant stakeholder. This will allow all stakeholders in the business to have transparency and visibility within the platform, while also keeping the editing tiers available so that there's an audit trail and you'll be able to see what users have actioned what transactions. As I mentioned at the start of the video, if there's any requirement for help throughout the process, please refer to the Quick Start Guide or click the question mark, which will open up our AI assistant, which draws on our comprehensive user manual. Asking the AI assistant a question will also give you a link to the user manual as a PDF, which will give you further detail on the company structure and setup, but also for entering transactions and accessing your reports. If any other support is required, you can also navigate to bushagri.com.au/HerdFlow/support to access our support hub and any resources that are available.